Pokemon is truly a fantastic franchise. Just think about it. It holds appeal for children and adults alike. The latter loosely basing the happiness it brings them off of nostalgia and internalized childlike wonder, and the former just kind of looking at the screen like, ooh, cool dragon guy, I want him, I want him! I am of course basing these ideas off of a more stereotypical mindset, but I think we can all come together and agree that the games are great. So great, in fact, that Pokemon Scarlet consumed my every thought, waking or not, for months. Whether that's healthy or not is for a therapist to decide, so in the meantime, I'll just do what I do best and format my experiences into a video for the internet to view at its leisure. You should go watch the first 2 videos if you were curious as to how we got here, but otherwise, without further ado, let me tell you the tale of the last 3 days of our journey through Paldea. The 7th day began with our descent into the caverns below Alfornada, battling every trainer we could see in order to squeeze out every last bit of XP, because we clearly needed it. Out of all the challenges we faced in that cave, the toughest one was at the very end, where a blinding flood of light hit us. Clearly not a very pleasant experience. Now that we were on top of the plateau that housed Alfornada, it was time for a bit of super necessary exploration before entering the gym test. As you may recall from the previous video, which if you haven't already watched it, you totally should, I claimed the gym test from Medali to be extremely stupid. But that secret menu minigame doesn't even hold a torch to the absurdity that is Alfornada's discount love child of all things rhythm games. A little bit of Just Dance, a dash of Guitar Hero, and a sprinkle of yoga from Wii Fit, combined with the emotional expressions connected to a very limited set of inputs present in every Western RPG since 2011, and you've got yourself a stew. A really dumb, easy stew that I did somehow mess up at one point, but a stew nonetheless. After that travesty though, it was time to battle Tulip, a chic makeup artist and model, and also the final gym leader of our adventures. I do really like how they fleshed out the lore of how the leaders in this game work. Previously, we had no reason to believe that people like Brock or Flannery did anything past just standing at the back of their respective gyms, waiting for a hapless child to come along and give them a little bit of much needed excitement. But Tulip, she's a model. Katie, she's a patisserie chef. Larry? Well, he's just an office worker, but he still has something to do other than just sit and wait. They have their own main gigs, but they just kind of run the gyms on the side. But if we're being honest here, all of them, including Tulip, might just want to hang up the battling towel and focus on what makes them money, cause none of them really held up against our beast of a team. In the case of this battle, Irithyll swept the competition with a handful of crunches, gaining a fair bit of XP in the process. But I didn't raise a selfish ice lizard, so he did hand off some XP to his teammates as well, which allowed Mega Man to reach level 62, where he learned his signature move, Armor Cannon. And with one final blow from Irithyll, Tulip was defeated, and the final badge was ours. Following the bout, Nemona was sure to be there with plenty of words of encouragement, losing it over the fact that I was to become champion rank, also making sure that we knew that she was going to fine-tune her team to take us on. You're gonna need quite a bit of fine-tuning there to take on our all-star team, Pneumonia. And now that we were done collecting all 18 total badges, all of the endgame goals and content became available to me. But if you know me, I can't just do the task at hand. I need to go off and do anything else to justify spending more time with the game. So we scaled the nearby hill, discovering ruins which contained several Gimmighoul. And you know what that means. Finally, my dream to own a sentient golden cheese stick had come true. And also, just a side note, but this thing is the 1000th Pokemon. Like, ever. Just a little bit of food for thought. I could only do so much before the urge to wander aimlessly set in once again, so the next 3 hours or so were spent doing exactly that. After that massively pointless excursion, I decided it was time we stopped decimating trainers with level 20 Pokemon, and that maybe I should focus on more important things. So it was off to the Poco Lighthouse to meet up with Arven. When we arrived, Arven led us through the front door to the lighthouse to find Sada's lab contained within. And I gotta say, she must be a content creator or something, cause she's got like a whole 5 monitor setup. I know a gamer when I see one, Sada. A conversation over Zoom with the eerily still professor followed, where she let us know we needed to head to Area 0 in the Great Crater, and that we'd likely need some help. So we left the lab only for Arven to challenge us to a battle to prepare us for our descent. I put all that in air quotes because this kid has yet to show a glimpse of anything that could be defined as him being okay, but instead just continues to hate his mom and not do anything remotely positive. The battle was actually a fairly troublesome ordeal, his admittedly dope team being the main reason. He brought out his Greedent to start, almost taking out War Maiden with a few earthquakes, but it inevitably went down to a flash cannon from our adorable murderer. Scovillain was out next, and with the help of a flip turn from Echo and a few blows from Mega Man, the sentient peppers were no more. Also, can we get some booyahs for how cool the fire grass typing is? Just really feel the need to acknowledge that one. And next up was Minecraft's newest update. Sorry, I mean Garganical. The Tower of Salt was massacred by our oh-so-powerful and ever-impressive aquatic paladin, and then Toadscroll came out. And that was when everything started to go belly up. I swapped in applesauce for some reason and immediately regretted it, sending in Irithyll instead. That was followed by just a bit of bullying from Squid on Land as our frozen dino decided to miss every Ice Fang it attempted. Irithyll would have fallen to a 4th Earth Power from Mr. Tentacles, but thankfully our kaiju finally rubbed the dirt out of his eye and landed an Ice Fang, obliterating the opposition in one single hit. Second to last was Cloyster, so we sent in Bean hoping for high damage with Petal Blizzard, but were instead greeted with a full 5 hits from Icicle Spear. We hung on with 1 HP, but found it best to just swap to Echo again. It only took a few more hits, but Cloyster went down soon after, leaving only Mabastiff. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I was expecting this to be an Aqua Tail away from victory, and that is not how it went down. Arven sent out his considerably drugged up dog, and I feel that's fair to say, as he has been giving his pet just a shit ton of herbs throughout this adventure, and the thing took out Echo with a single Terra boosted crunch. We were at about half health to be fair, but the move was still 160 base power, so it's bound to do some damage. We sent in War Maiden, and wouldn't you know it, the dog has Fire Fang. 2 of those and it was on to Irithyll. But of course, we can't have anything nice because the damn dog also knew Play Rough. Thankfully, we had revives, so we brought War Maiden back, hitting a Play Rough, avoiding 2 Fire Fangs, and finishing the pup off with a draining kiss. And with that, Arven sent us off to recruit 2 more people to accompany us into the crater, and that was the end of the Path of Legends storyline. At this point, we had gone a little bit too long without dicking around, so it was back to pulling stakes out of the ground while we waited for one of our chatters to be ready to join a multiplayer session in order to evolve his Finizen. After all, I'm more than happy to help others along the path to immediate disappointment of seeing that dolphin paint a heart on its chest and call itself by a different name. But hey, at least the payoff is worthwhile. While in said multiplayer session, all parties involved made sure to do a show and tell of their respective mons, but the holiday deadline reared its ugly head as the game could not function, Pokemon were disappearing from screen, and all that stuff, you know the drill. The bugged out session came to a close, and we decided it was finally time to wrap up the Starfall Street storyline. So we made our way to the front gates of Naranja Academy, only to find Clive. But wait, what's this? Clive was actually Clavel this whole time, and Clavel was Cassiopeia? Wait, hold up. The first thing about Clive being Clavel makes sense, but Clavel was Cassiopeia? That one really threw me for a loop. He wished to challenge me to a battle, and we happily obliged. It was a simple fight. Oranguru was first, so we did some decent damage with Flip Turn, followed by a crunch from Irithyll, bringing out Abomasnow second. The big grassy snowman didn't stand a chance against Mega Man's flamethrower, and it was on to Poltegeist. We sent in Applesauce, and the teapot used Shell Smash, lowering its special defense, which may or may not have been the reason why a single Shadow Ball was enough to make it crack, but the world will never know. Houndoom was up next with Amoonguss on deck. The edgy canine went down to a single Aqua Tail from Echo, and the big dumb mushroom was incinerated by Mega Man. The final mon of Clavel's team was a Quaquaval, Quaxley's big brother that moved out at the first chance he got to pursue his artistic dreams, and surprisingly enough, he actually achieved what he had sought out. And then he started a YouTube channel, and a Twitch one too, and then you went ahead and followed them both because you're just such a cool person that makes really good life decisions, and I'm really bad at plugging my channels, so let's move on. The Dancing Duck terrestrialized into a pure water type, making my switch into War Maiden a horribly thought out one, so I swapped into Bean, who took a nasty brick break, sending the fancy-footed bird to an early grave with Petal Dance the following turn. But wait, what's this? Clavel actually isn't Cassiopeia? So he lied to me? And now he's getting yelled at by time for battling in the courtyard? This game certainly has its moments. All that was left to do was find out once and for all whether my suspicion of Penny was deserved. But first, I walked away in my usual ADHD fashion and stumbled upon the Pokemon League, briefly chatting with Geeta about the champion assessment before returning to the school. I mean, at least we know where that is now, right? Into the academy we went, traveling to the schoolyard to finally finish what we had started. And who was there but Penny, in the flesh, awaiting our arrival. What a shocker. She really hadn't been doing a great job at the whole secret identity thing for a while at this point, but I will give her props on two things. Her entire team is composed of evolutions, and her theme is an absolute certified brain-blasting banger. Just take a listen. Fuck it up, fuck it up. Yeah, fuck it up, yeah. If that doesn't make you want to throw yourself at a wall and commit a crime in the best way possible, I don't know what will. The only downside of having a full team of relatively frail mono-type Pokemon is that cutting through them is smooth like butter. Warmaiden was able to make quick work of Umbreon, and the same with Echo to Flareon. Irithyll took down Jolteon in no time, while Mega Man burnt Leafeon to a crisp. Bean came in on Vaporeon, destroying it with ease, and Warmaiden came back in to annihilate Sylveon, wrapping up the trivial battle against Cassiopenny. After a nice, long, heartfelt cutscene of Penny having her first ever Team Star meet and greet with all of the crew bosses, we headed to Clavel's office. Penny joined us not long into the meeting, admitting to actually committing a crime, hacking into the Pokemon League's LP system in order to distribute thousands upon thousands of the currency to myself and Clavel for laying siege to the Star Crew bases. So basically, I've been wandering around with laundered money for months at this point. None the wiser. I should probably turn myself in. Not important. To wrap up the Starfall storyline, we had a quick chat with Penny out in the courtyard, also wrapping up day 7 in the process. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, the 8th day of this playthrough was nothing to rave about, because I decided to take an entire 6 hours off from doing important things, which is definitely a new record. I don't see much of a point in going into extreme detail, so slap a minute on the clock and let's speedrun this shit. We spent a lot of time running around, catching Pokemon to fill out the decks. This was to the extent of standing on top of a Pokemon Center to make our Bramblin run in circles for a bit to evolve into Bramblegast. It totally works, I swear. Back to aimless running about, finding a mass outbreak of Noivern that we stuck around for in hopes of a shiny. Didn't find one. Then more running around by the fighting crew base while working toward evolving Bisharp, Dunsparce, and Girafarig. Cool, not cool, and Melman. Then it was back to the starting area to grind Rage Fist with Primeape to get an Annihilate. Also cool. Back to running in the desert, finding an outbreak of Rufflet, but no shiny once again. Finally found the final orange stake which caused the earth to rumble. The rumble turned out to be a circular glowing door on a cliff face, and behind the door stood Chien Pao, one of 4 ruinous Pokemon of legend. I adore this guy. The swords for fangs, the weasel-like appearance, all good things. And that's time! PB, oh my god. PB! We'll move on to the 9th and final day now. And what better way to start off this final day than to embrace our roots and run around for an hour straight. No plan, no destination, nothing. Just me and Koraidon doing our thing. We did eventually get around to taking on the champion assessment at the Pokemon League, beginning with the verbal portion of the test. This is where Rika interrogates you about various aspects of your adventure, some parts feeling a bit more adjacent to a job interview than others. And that, along with the countless amounts of office workers strewn about the world, makes me think that Nintendo has a select finger they'd like to show to the multi-billion-dollar companies of the world. But they are also a multi-billion-dollar company, so really, we should be giving them the finger. Yeah, fuck you, Nintendo, putting a $70 price tag on your new Zelda game, goofy ass. Anyways, I failed the interview portion, which was not something I expected to actually happen, but I guess they don't really like when you say that you came to the league for fun. Second time was the charm though, and it was on to the Elite test. Rika led the Elite Four with her ground types, bringing in Whiscash to start. We had led Mega Man, so we quickly switched to Bean to destroy the catfish. Echo was then able to take out the falling Camerupt with Flip Turn, bringing Bean back in on the Dawn Fan. The elephant knew Poison Jab though, getting a lucky risky poison on Beam. Echo came back in, crushing the Doug trio, and not doing anything to Clodsire, because apparently the doof inherited Water Absorb from his Jotonian form. So Irithyll was there to clean up with Ice Fang, bringing us to the next Elite Four member, Poppy. Before entering the battle against the little girl and her steel types, we stumbled across a feature that feels very overlooked. You're actually able to access your boxes from within the Pokemon League. Like, did no one think about this during development? Seems a bit cheaty, right? We didn't swap in anyone new though, so don't worry. We entered the fight with Poppy with Mega Man, who took down the lead Kaparaja with Armor Cannon. Applesauce was given the floor against Bronzong, bringing the bell to its demise with Torch Song. Our Croc's reign did not end there, leaving him in for the final 2 Mons, melting the Magnezone in a few hits and burning the Tinkaton with a now +2 flamethrower. Moving on to the next member, the last person I expected to see was who stepped out in front of me. It was Larry, in all of his plain, mundane magnificence. He had flying types this time because Geeta basically made him switch it up, but it was an easy sweep regardless. We sent in Echo for the free 0 to hero proc with Flip Turn, bringing in Irithyll to make quick work of the Pokemon to come. Our Behemoth took out both Tropius and Staraptor with Ice Fangs, sending in an Oricorio next. I thought it was going to be the bird's fire flying Bale style, so I sent in Echo only to be met with electric flying Pom Pom style. It tanked an Aqua Tail from Echo, retaliating with a strong Revelation Dance, only to go down to another Aqua Tail the following turn. Larry's final Mon was Flamigo, a fighting flying type, so I sent in Mega Man to deal super effective damage with Expanding Force. But as I always forget, the final Pokemon always terastallizes, so the Psychic weakness was completely scrapped, nullifying my strategy just a tiny bit. The Expanding Force damage was pretty decent, not getting the one-shot, but not bad by any means. Mega Man took a hard hit from a Brave Bird, but was able to bring the Flamingo to its knees with one last flamethrower. And yes, Flamingos do have knees. I was wondering the exact same thing when I was writing this, and now we all learned something new. I think that deserves a like. You came for the Pokemon, you stayed for the bird knees. Last up was Hassel and his dragons, so it was time for War Maiden's time in the spotlight. She took on the lead Noivern with Play Rough after nasty Super Fang, and then was immediately swapped out for Mega Man on Dragalge. One Expanding Force later, and the Kelp monster was done, and War Maiden was back out on Haxorus. After missing several Play Roughs in a row, one finally connected with Axeface, bringing him down and Hassel's final Mon out, a Baxcalibur of his own. But his terrestrialization did him no favors, going pure Dragon type, letting us take out the imposter with a Play Rough followed by a Draining Kiss. The Elite Four had officially been overthrown, leaving the champion as the only thing standing in our way. Oh no, Hassel's crying. Poor dude. He's just so proud of us and how far we've come. Anyways, out of my way, I got a date with Destiny. After scaling to the roof of the building, we found La Primera stood at the other end of the battle court, ready for our bout. She began with a speech of how she was hoping we could beat her, though she doesn't hold back when it comes to Pokemon battles, and then proceeded to send out Espathra? I mean, sure, the thing has a base 101 special attack stat, but come on. I just think she could have led with something a bit better, but either way, we led Echo for the usual flip turn strat, swapping into Applesauce and a strong Lumina Crash before taking out the extremely frail Ostrich with Shadow Ball. Avalugg was next, but one Armor Cannon from Mega Man and the sentient Glacier was turned to a puddle. Then King Gambit came out, suffering the same fate as Mr. Freeze. Let me tell you, a 10 level advantage certainly helps out a fair amount against these guys. Next up was Go-Goat, going down as quickly as it came out with yet another Mega Man Armor Cannon. To finish off the battle, Geeta sent in Glamora, a poison rock type, aka the perfect target for our oh-so-heroic Echo. Even better yet, the Noxious Orb blossomed into a pure rock type, making it one Aqua Tail away from shattering into a million pieces, winning us the champion assessment. With that, we left the building with Geeta at our side, only to find Nimona running up to us, begging for one last battle in Mesa Goza, the birthplace of this rivalry, according to her. I feel like the beach from the very start of the game would have been more fitting personally, but sure, I guess. And then by the grace of God, I immediately went to fight Nimona in Mesa Goza's Central Plaza, and she was plenty ready for it. A nice, long, voiceless cutscene later, and the battle had begun. She led with Lycanroc, countering with Echo on our end for the usual flip turn, bringing the Rock Dog into the yellow and War Maiden out, tanking a super effective drill run before finishing Lycanroc off with a flash cannon. Second was Earthworm, who did not stand a chance against Mega Man and is ever reliable armor cannon. Third was Goodra, so out came War Maiden, who missed a not so reliable play rough, followed by a draining kiss and a play rough that actually landed, bringing us to her fourth abomination. Pokemon. Dun Dunsparce countered War Maiden pretty well with a coil attack buff plus drill run combo, hitting us with some crazy damage, but our girl held on. Palmot was next, so we countered with Mega Man, taking a fairly scary double shock before destroying the bipedal chinchilla with expanding force. Also, why am I making it sound like there's actual stakes here, like I couldn't just revive our Mons if they were to fall in battle? This was a casual playthrough, not some permadeath Nuzlocke or anything. Who do I think I am, Flygon HG? I'ma keep doing it though, cause it's a whole lot of fun. Meowscarada was the last in, and we made sure to make it a starter showdown. Our level advantage made for an extremely anticlimactic finale, one-shotting the now Grass Terra E-Cat girl with a Fire Terra boosted flamethrower from Applesauce. And with that, we had completed the Victory Road storyline. Victory Road complete! Yes, we did it, dude. Oh my god. Now that we were on to the final stretch of the game, it was time to go to the ever-mysterious Great Crater of Paldea, but not before having a few utterly pointless conversations with Clavel about such pressing issues of what does Chuggy mean. Either way, we followed this up with a bit of random destination hopping before finally arriving at the Zero Gate, initiating the final quest, the way home. Upon entering the structure with Arven by our side, both Nimona and Penny made their appearances, waiting patiently for us. Still not entirely sure where they were hiding, cause in all reality it's not that large of an area. Seda then came over the intercom to tell us of our mission down into Area 0 and how to get there, which of course involved all four of us hitching a ride on Koraidon down through the fog below. Not before they almost left without me though, probably Nimona's idea honestly, but who's to say. After landing in the surprisingly bright area below, Koraidon almost immediately retreated into its ball out of fear of something. Seda was quick with yet another transmission, instructing us to disable the locks at 4 separate research stations in order to gain access to the lab at the very bottom of the crater. Should be easy enough, right? Well, apparently not, seeing as we took a complete wrong turn at one point, but aside from that little hiccup, everything turned out to be pretty straightforward. Eventually, we found the first station, but before we were allowed to enter, a Glamora came out of nowhere, so Nimona volunteered both of us as tributes to take down the weird flowering rock. I personally don't recall consenting to this pneumonia, so I think I'll be sitting this one out. Oh, you're forcing me to. Oh boy, you better hope that this is a walk in the park, otherwise we're gonna have some problems. Well, Lycanroc wins. Lycanroc took out the Glamora. Toxic debris again. Oh my god! Alright, the Glamora is dead. Okay, sure, but I better not have to participate in any more battles without being asked first, or mark my words. Mom, I need you to pick me up now. After missing several Aqua Tails with Echo toward the prehistoric Jigglypuff, we entered the second station, disabling the second lock and receiving another call from Seda, this time with an explanation as to what that Pokemon we just fought was, and how she had built a time machine at the base of the crater, out of which that Pokemon and many others had emerged from. You know, just your typical Tuesday talk at the office. After getting a bit lost on our way to the third station, we arrived, coming face to face with another prehistoric Mon, this one being Great Tusk, the same one we had encountered all that time ago in the Asado Desert. The mammoth was easy work for Arven and I, and so to the third lock we went. Seda made sure to, once again, get a hold of us to let us know of the second Koraidon she had brought in from the past, and how it was in fact an ancient form of Cyclozar, as I had honestly kind of expected from the beginning. We disabled the lock and headed down into the crystalline caverns toward the fourth and final station. finding a wild screamtail along the way, naming it Screm, before also finding a Garganical, who we named r/Pokemon, which is an extremely funny and clever joke that totally deserves a like on the video, and also maybe while you're at it, you could make Big Number go bigger by subscribing to the channel. Just a suggestion that you are actually legally obligated to fulfill without risk of losing a finger or something. I haven't actually quite read the fine print, but I'll let you be the judge. Not long after reaching the 4th station, Seda got us on the horn again, talking to us about, wait, what is happening? She's glitching out. Is this like a signal issue, or there's so much stuttering? And then she went silent. We walked over to the final lock, first taking a look at the book laid directly next to the lock. I need more people, more time. That man walked out not long after the boy was born. What? Uh-oh. Oh no. This is Seda's journal. So she's saying that, like, they had Arvin, and then the dad walked out. Oh no, I need another set of hands, but could they be trusted? And how long would it take them to even understand? If only there were 2 of me. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this subject matter seems a little too heavy-handed for a Pokemon game. But so is the crippling yet everlasting struggle of finding a job you actually enjoy, so I guess Miyamoto just really wanted to dig deep this time around. After learning that unfortunate piece of Arvin's past, we disabled the final lock, heading for the Zero Lab entrance. Along the way, we came across a Fluttermane, killing it instantly. Thankfully, though, after reaching the Zero Lab and receiving a final transmission from Seda, we went off and caught a Fluttermane of our own, naming it Influenza. We actually did quite a bit of wandering before opening the lab's gates, which likely does not come as a surprise to those who have seen the rest of this series, but even to those of you who have done exactly that, the idea of me exploring the base of Paldea's crater might make no sense. How'd you manage to wander around that area so much? There's literally nothing but crystals down there. You would be correct, but remember who you're talking to. I am the master of aimless wandering. I haven't been doing it for this entire playthrough for nothing. Finally, we went back to the gate, coaxing Koraidon out of its ball before opening the gate, which was followed by an unpleasant visit from the second Koraidon that Seda had mentioned before. It was an extremely tense meeting, but apparently Nemono was completely oblivious to this fact, thinking it was, quote, a heartwarming family reunion cut short. I will never understand this girl, and neither will Penny, so it seems. Thank you, Penny. This is why you're my favorite. The aggressive Koraidon had made its way into the lab, while a metric fuck ton of Paradox Pokemon flooded out of the gates, sending us into a brief gauntlet of double battles with all of the, frankly, amazingly designed mods. Truly, I am a huge fan of what they did with these Paradox forms. The Scarlet ones, anyway. The Violet ones are meh, don't at me. Arvin told us that he'd fend off the remainder of the beasts, ushering us inside the lab to take care of the task at hand. So we headed inside only to find Professor Seda sitting in a chair. But something seemed off. And that's when the text box showed up, deactivating sleep mode. Seda was a robot the whole time, and to make matters worse, the reason as to why the real Seda was nowhere to be found wasn't because she was on a vacation over in Unova or anything like that, but rather that she had taken a trip to a farm upstate to see everyone's childhood dogs, if you know what I'm saying. But this AI had been programmed with the same thoughts as the original, and all it wanted me to do was destroy the time machine they had created, to put an end to all of this. So we began our descent. After asking many questions of AI Seda, answers which she was quick to expel, we arrived at the lowest level of the Zero Lab. We were greeted by an expansive room with crystalline walls, reflective in the way that a prism disperses white light. It was like we were living in a kaleidoscope. I was tripping balls, dude. All of a sudden, the time machine Seda had spoken of emerged from the floor. She told us that we were to disable the machine, but warned that due to the code that drove her, she would likely override and attack us if we followed those orders. So I dove right into the deep end, disabling the machine and activating the AI's offensive protocol, rising upon a spire from the ground below. The final fight was about to begin, and if this cutscene said anything, it was that we were in for quite the battle. Seda led with Slitherwing, and we sent in Echo, who immediately flip-turned out of there to bring in Mega Man on a weak lunge. Mega Man made quick work of the prehistoric bug with Flamethrower, and so Brute Bonnet came out swinging. Except not really, cause the horrific mushroom was burned to a crisp as well. pivoting the fight to Sandy Shocks. The ferrofluid-ridden Mon proved to be a bit of a problem though, as I had zero clue as to what its typing was. It took down both Mega Man and Applesauce before I realized it wasn't Steel type, so Echo came back out, finishing off the enemy with Aqua Tail. Next out was Fluttermane, but they didn't last long, falling to yet another Aqua Tail. Screamtail followed, so we brought in Warmaiden. After taking a weak Drain Punch, our girl annihilated the ancient Jigglypuff with a single Gigaton Hammer, the most absurd move in the entire series. Unfortunately though, Warmaiden's time was very short-lived, falling to an earthquake from the roaring moon that came out last. But before we move on, can we just take a moment to appreciate the immaculate design of this guy? Like, look at him. Salamence is cool and all, but this guy? Like, come on, dude. This is peak Pokemon design. Other than maybe Iron Valiant, but who cares about that? Violet sucks, Scarlet rules, Naranja Academy forever. We brought out Irithyll, terrestrializing into pure Ice type in order to tank a Dragon Claw, as well as take down the Draconic threat, bringing the final battle to a close. And that's it! There we go! I did it! Psych! You thought it was over? Nope. Instead, the Paradise Protection Protocol was enabled, initiating another battle against Seda, who is now extremely aggressive with pieces of her figure breaking away to reveal a crystal core. The rest of the gang found their way in as the walls turned a crimson red, and Seda's Koraidon came out onto the battlefield. An attempt to bring out some of our own Pokemon found us in a tight spot, as none of our Pokeballs were working. They had all been locked down by the Triple P, allowing only those balls that belonged to Seda to open properly. But thankfully, we had one of those. Koraidon was our only hope, so we sent him onto the battlefield, and for the first time in almost 60 hours of playtime, we witnessed our legendary fighting lizard glow a bright orange before transforming into its battle form. The time to end all of this was now. Our primordial reptiles traded blows, with us not doing a whole lot to the enemy, and that's when the foe used Bulk Up. Now there was absolutely no way we could outdamage this beast. We were hit with a powerful Giga Impact, bringing Koraidon down to a sliver, holding on by a thread as he couldn't bear the thought of seeing us in a somber state. Then, the only thing that could save us came to light. Our Terra Orb was ready for use. And what did Koraidon have? A now Dragon-type Terra Blast. The opposition stood no chance as we blasted his ass into oblivion with one final blow. 80 base power move. Koraidon fainted. Amazing. There still stood the issue of the time machine though, as it seemed to fully refuse to close shut, and Seda had but one solution. The AI knew that the machine would never shut down with her still around, so she allowed her now decaying form to be brought through to the other side, getting sucked up into the ultra-techy ceiling butthole. The battle was won. And with that, the gang returned to the surface, walking into the sunset as the best of friends. That's it. Roll credits. No, don't play the song! I did play this game quite a bit more after this that day, and many days after, but the story was officially done. If you want to see more of our adventures, feel free to let me know in the comments, but otherwise, that is the end of our first Pokemon adventure through the Paldea region. If you want more Pokemon content while you wait for my next video, might I recommend my Twitch channel, where we stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday? It's all Pokemon all the time over there, so if you're free around any of the times on screen, definitely swing by and say hi. And yes, we will be playing through the DLC as soon as it comes out on September 13th, so make sure to swing by if you're interested. Of course, make sure you're subscribed here too if you aren't already. That's all from me for now though. Until next time, have a good one, stay safe, and I'll see you around.